Hey guys, welcome to week 7 of INA 4300. So, week 6, again, first I hope everyone had a good holiday, and I hope they have a good upcoming holiday as well, coming up for Christmas as we wrap up this course. So, week 6, Fusion Centers. A lot of good discussion here. Let me just hit the high points of the advantages and disadvantages. So, the advantages, again, the most important advantage, and the reason why they were developed, is to push watch listing down. And that's really the vertical integration of intelligence. And what I mean by that is a police officer on the street who collects data on your license plate and any criminal activity should also have access to whether you're on a watch list or whether there's some federal level derogatory information, either through customs or immigration, that they have on you. So that police officer on the street has that data, and they can make a better assessment of, is this person a terrorist? Is this person a threat? That was the whole point of the fusion centers, is that you can vertically integrate intelligence from federal, state, local. They have a multi-agency, multi-state problem. So the 9/11 hijackers, again, didn't just operate in one state. They communicated across state boundaries. They were far more prolific. Others, they had some problems might require a federal response. So multi-agency, multi-state problem. And at fusion centers, you would have immigration, customs and border patrol sitting there as well, providing data in addition to state and local officials. And then you'd have a command center. The fusion centers, if there's a disaster, like Hurricane Katrina or some other disaster, everyone could fall on the fusion centers, which have communications and ability to have better command and control going forward. So the advantage of the fusion centers. Disadvantages is a civil liberties issue here. You are collecting on, for the most part, when you're talking about state and local officials, collecting intelligence on U.S. citizens, and you're sharing intelligence on U.S. citizens. That has a civil liberties concern. Should they be monitoring this protest for the fear of left-wing extremists? Should they be monitoring this protest for fear of right-wing extremists? Those are decisions that the fusion centers have to make that may or may not impinge on someone's First Amendment rights. So that is a disadvantage. The FBI JTTFs are doing a lot of this work already, and they should be integrating both with federal and state and local officials. So if the FBI, instead of spending hundreds of millions of dollars on these fusion centers, why don't we just ramp up the FBI, which is already doing this? And then finally, is there enough work to do for the fusion centers? Now, they are mandated, they're supposed to be mandated to work just on terrorism-related issues. That has kind of gone out the window, where fusion centers now are working on human smuggling and opioids and other information or criminal networks. But if they are supposed to be working on terrorism, and the question is, does the Chattanooga Fusion Center or the Bismarck, North Dakota Fusion Center really have a whole lot of work to do? Just food for thought for advantages and disadvantages of fusion centers. And then as we go to the next week, counterintelligence, again, there's been some high-profile case, the submarine case where the couple was sending submarine plans to Brazil, the Robert Hansen case in the early 2000s, Ani Montes, or Hansen was selling information to the Russians. The Montes case was selling information to the Cubans. These are all counterintelligence issues. These are the ones that make the high-profile one. At the lower level, China is not just doing counterintelligence like against our defense networks, but they're actually trying to collect information on U.S. persons. In fact, they offered COVID testing to various municipalities here, which was a great way to get DNA collection on American citizens. That's a counterintelligence threat. TikTok is another thing that people have said is a counterintelligence threat, that it's not just, you're not going to share vital secrets on TikTok, but if you have hundreds of millions of people using TikTok, and liking it and figuring out what their preferences are, that's a valuable asset to a government, particularly the Chinese Communist Party, which tends to use data at a higher level. So again, counterintelligence is not just it's not just those cases that you read about in the news. It's these data information collection that the Chinese government and Russian government are doing at the lowest levels. So is that an FBI, DHS? Should state and local officials get involved in that? That's for this week to decide. So if there's any issues, I know a couple of people were handing in their papers a little bit late, but I'll go ahead and get those knocked out this week. And if there's issues with the final, please start looking forward on that. On the final paper, if there's issues, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask.